because you believe the medical diagnosis when a doctor looks you in the face and says, well, what you have is bipolar disorder. What you have is a spirit that needs to be cast out so you can have some peace is what you got.
This is Greg Locke. I've played this clip before. I just want to give you a little refresher because I got a voicemail about this guy. So he thinks he can cure bipolar disorder by praying it away. That's not the only thing he thinks he can cure either, by prayer, by the way. We'll hit that in a second. I wanted to hear what this voicemail caller had to say. Check this out.
Hello, this is Jeremy from Georgia. I noticed in your Fireside chat show, you sometimes will bring up that clip of Greg Locke talking about bipolar disorder, among other things.
Yeah, that's the clip. Here's the remainder of the clip, if you guys haven't seen it.
Get him off that medication for about 45 hours and let me and the deliverance team walk up in one of them crazy houses with some Bibles and some anointing oil. And I'm telling you, we can cast out the spirit of multiple personality, insanity, madness, the lunatic spirit.
Yeah, absolutely psychotic, man. And again, that is not the only thing that he said he can cure. He wrote a deliverance handbook. The deliverance handbook describes demons and their manifestations, how you can tell you have a demon, okay? So here are some examples of things that'll happen if you've been possessed by a demon. And all you need to stop this stuff is for Greg Locke to come in and exorcise that demon from you. Screaming, sweating, burping, coughing, sneezing, yawning, sudden urge to urinate, falling, cursing, sobbing, runny or bloody nose. You got a runny nose? That could be a demon. Tingling. If you have tingling, it's not neuropathy. It's not a blood pressure problem. It's not a circulatory problem. It's a demon. Bitter taste is a demon also. Itching, nervousness, twitching, vomiting, dizziness, roaring. I don't know what roaring means. Stomach cramps, dry heaving, skin irritation, and laughter. Laughter is a sign of a demon, apparently. Oh boy. No laughing, people. There's also the demon of bedwetting in here. That's my favorite. Yeah, here it is. Bedwetting. Boom. Right here. Arrested development. I renounce the medical diagnosis that gives demons legal authority over my life. Insanity, schizophrenia, nerves, PTSD, Alzheimer's, dementia, bedwetting, autism. Oh, yeah. He thinks he can pray away autism as well. Yep. Madness, hallucinations, numbness. Anyway, yeah, you get the idea. That's Greg Locke and all of his bizarre beliefs about this stuff. It's just, it's sad and it's a joke. So yeah, let's listen to what the caller here has to say.
And I just wanted to mention just how incredibly dangerous his rhetoric is towards that.
Toward bipolar specifically.
Personally, myself had bipolar, and it can be a very troublesome disorder for a lot of people. And they often don't diagnose younger people with it because puberty can cause a lot of hormone changes, which can cause a lot of instability.
Also, to my knowledge, bipolar disorder doesn't even manifest commonly until you're at least 16. Neither does schizophrenia. That can develop like at any point in your life, just about. It usually manifests between like 16 and 30. But yeah, you just go about your day, living your life, and all of a sudden you're bipolar, just like that. It's crazy. It's crazy how our brains work. Yeah, both my parents are bipolar. My ex is bipolar. My best friend growing up was bipolar. I've been surrounded by it, so I 100% know. Most important thing is to get medicated, because if you get medicated, then it really, really helps a lot. And it manifests in ways that aren't even written down, things that I've noticed that aren't in the DSM that describe it. Like bipolar disorder describes mood swings of like being manic and being depressed for some period of time. Can go back and forth between, it can switch between like a day or 10 days or 6 weeks or 6 months or even a year sometimes. Like it just varies. But there are things that people don't even connect to bipolar that are a symptom of it. Grandiosity, grandiose beliefs and ideas, that's a symptom of bipolar disorder, or can be. My brother has a version of schizophrenia called schizoaffective disorder, which is basically schizophrenia and bipolar disorder combined. Commonly, schizophrenics have paranoid delusions, but he has delusions of grandeur. He believes he's like the biggest and the best and the smartest and the strongest and the everything, instead of, or in addition to the paranoia, in addition to it. Yeah, it can be really bad. Another way that it manifests, sexual promiscuity is common among people who are bipolar. Also, spending money a lot is a symptom. It's something that bipolar people sometimes do, It can really ruin people's lives. It's really hard to deal with. So I'm glad that it sounds like you've gotten it under control. If you've been diagnosed, it sounds like you're doing better than you were before, for sure. People just need to not stigmatize this stuff. They need to understand that it's just like a brain state that can be just tweaked and you're good for the most part. Instead of demonizing people, looking down on them, or thinking it's bad or wrong or evil, or you did something to displease God, or you're just inferior in some way, there's no reason to think any of that stuff. It could literally hit anybody at any moment. So if you feel like you're like above somebody who has bipolar disorder, just be aware that it could hit you at any time. Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, I'd appreciate it if you watch the video to the end. YouTube bases video reach off of watch time, so watching even an extra minute makes the video go further. Liking and subscribing goes a long way too. Finally, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video.
A lot of instability of emotion. And so I wasn't diagnosed until I reached my 20s. And by that point, I was having a lot of issues. If it weren't for me getting diagnosed, my life would be on a very different path. So just him...
drug use is also a common symptom of it, like things that you would never expect. Oh, and you know what? There's another one I was thinking of. It's not written down in the DSM, but this like built-in desire to leave, just go. Get in your car and drive and escape. Go anywhere but where you are right now. I saw that with every single bipolar person that I've ever had in my life, interestingly.
Me getting diagnosed, my life would be on a very different path. So just him encouraging people to seek God instead of treating something like that can lead to a lot of issues, and it really pains me to see him talk about that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up to somebody because it's troublesome to listen to. Anyways, enjoy your show. Have a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It is really troublesome, and it's not just bipolar disorder. It's all of the other stuff that he talked about, schizophrenia and bedwetting. And I mean, there's some real stuff in there. Dementia, Alzheimer's disease, in the Deliverance Handbook, the Exorcism Handbook. In all seriousness, 100% real. He really does believe that he can exorcise the demon of dementia from somebody. He goes in there in a room with somebody who has dementia and sits down with them and starts praying over them and commanding a demon to get out. And they have no idea what's happening around them right now. They don't even know their own name. And somebody is screaming at them, ordering them to get out. Imagine what that's like. Greg Locke is terrible. Whether intentional or not, maybe it's just he is a fool. Maybe he's just an idiot. I don't know. But he's damaging to the people around him and broader society either way. Whether he's an idiot or calculated, it's irrelevant. It's just disgusting. Anyway, thanks for the voicemail. Appreciate that. Quick note before we continue, I want to let you know I just wrote a book, and it's in pre-order status at this immediate moment. If you want to check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. It's a book about my experiences within Jehovah's Witnesses. I go through their doctrine and everything. It's completely understandable if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you're a Christian, it's a good reference to use for why Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong about their interpretation of the Bible. The last chapter of the book is 100 questions that I have for the governing body, I'm selling the last chapter separately as its own separate guide if you guys want to get that too. So check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. I'd appreciate that.
Hey, John. It's John from Arizona. I just wanted to say that I'm really looking forward to the book. And although there is one thing I want to ask about, are you planning at all on, making it an ebook? I would love to listen to that in your own voice even. I'd love for you to read it out loud as an ebook. Anyway, that's it. Have fun.
Yeah, appreciate the voicemail. The answer is yes, absolutely. The one thing that really drives me nuts when when I hear about people that I listen to or whatever writing a book and I really want to read the book, I don't sit down and physically read copies of books. I just don't do it. I don't have the time. I play a game while listening to an audiobook, or I'm, editing while listening to an audiobook or something. So I only ever do things in audiobook form. I will be producing an audiobook the moment the final draft is on paper. I'm going to start the audiobook editing process, which is probably going to take me 2 weeks. It's going to take about a month, maybe 2 months, to finally get the book out to distributors and stuff. Anyway, it's a long process ahead, but I am working on it. Pre-orders may actually be open now. If you guys want to go to owenmorgan.com/book, audiobook form will be available. Ebook form will be available eventually down the line, but I would appreciate it if you guys took part in the pre-order system and get a physical copy, because I'm going to need to use that money to pay for line editing and, printing copies and doing cover art and all the other stuff that goes along with making a book. So, yeah, if you want to hold out until later, you can, but pre-orders I would really appreciate very much. Oh, and also I'm going to have a copy called The 100 Questions. It's going to be about 16,000 words, much smaller book. 60, 70 pages long, and it's going to be questions for the governing body. It's also the last chapter of the full book. So the full book is kind of my experience with the religion and some details into doctrine. The 100 questions are problems with the religion, effectively. Anyway, they will be available in every form I can possibly release them. Don't forget that pre-order, though. I'd appreciate it.
Hey, Owen. Barbara from Washington. Did you notice this last video that you had up? The preacher advocates for most extreme measures against voter fraud. The guy's standing there in his red, white, and blue shirt, and at the bottom of his screen it says promo code ROBE at mypillow.com.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Hey, let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, this is with Matt Shea. Dude on the left, he's Matt Shea. He aided domestic terrorists, and he used his position as a member of Congress to do so. And the guy on the right is Bill Cook, and he's a Christian nationalist extremist.
The idea that there's separation of church and state, the way that it's been manipulated by leaders in our government, is absurd. It's absurd, it is a fraud, and it is tyranny.
It absolutely is.
And it's time that every person, every pastor who loves liberty, who loves religious freedom, stands up and says, no, we aren't doing it anymore. We're not playing this game of separation of church and state anymore.
I think that this is the clip that's being referenced by the caller. This, in the corner, this says blackrobereg.org. That's a reference to Black Robe Regiment, not Mike Lindell. I thought that there's a Lindell ad in there too, but listen one more time here.
mypillow.com. These are everywhere.
They are everywhere, absolutely. My Pillow, like Mike Lindell, he advertises with everybody. Have you ever noticed, though, that he's never offered like advertisements to anybody on the left? The only people he ever offers his advertisements to are literal Nazis, like people who are avowed fans of Hitler. Yeah, I'm not seeing that specific one. You may have been seeing Black Robe Regiment in the corner and thought Robe, Lindell. But Yeah, Lindell only ever advertises with Nazis, and honestly, the dude needs to stop giving promo codes and start charging a normal price for his stuff, because he is hemorrhaging money like mad right now, and he's going to go under. I'm very sure of it. Mike Lindell is going to be broke on the street again sometime in the not-so-distant future.
Do you ever wish to go back to your old cult just to have your old friends and...
Do I ever wish I could go back to my old cult?
Just to have your old friends and to have more connections?
Do I ever wish I could go back to my old cult to have my old friends and old connections? Yes, although I would never go back because the price I had to pay was way too high. It was not worth it at all. It was absolutely terrible. Everything that I had to do, all of the hoops I had to jump through, it's just not good. I mean, you have to devote so much time of your life to being a member of it. But yes, the community was really valuable. And yeah, I lost a friend, a close friend. You know, when I was 16, there was a dude in the congregation who I was really, really good friends with. 15, 16, and 17. Real close to him. He was my best friend of all time, ever. And I lost him. He won't talk to me anymore. He will never talk to me again. I messaged him on Facebook a while back, and he refuses to talk to me. And that sucks. That really sucks. I lost my mom, and that sucked pretty bad too. But losing everything and everybody is just, it's something that is indescribably bad. So, yeah, I would love to have all those things back, but I recognize now that Jehovah's Witnesses don't understand unconditional love. They don't know what it is. I didn't either, till I got on the outside and understood it, learned what it was. For the first time, recognized what love looked like, real love, and what hate looked like. After seeing the stark contrast between those two things, I could never and would never go back. You know, I wrote this book about Jehovah's Witnesses and questions for the governing body and everything. The last few questions of the book that I have for the governing body pertain to love, whether or not they even understand what love is. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses are going through a trial right now in Norway, and the trial is basically to determine, well, if they can keep status as a religion. And they've already lost their status as a religion, which doesn't mean anything. They can still meet and everything. They're just a normal company. They don't get tax-exempt status. They don't get government subsidies as other religions do. That's it. Oh, and they can't perform marriages. They have to have an official perform a marriage for them instead. It's not a big deal, honestly. They're just no longer receiving privileges that the government offers to religions. That's it. Anyway, they're going through a court case to determine if they're allowed to regain their status as a religion to receive those privileges. Norway removed the privileges because they shun people, right? And Jehovah's Witnesses changed the wording in their book to basically say, God, well, it's I don't remember what it was now, but it's skirted around the issue in a real sleazy way. Basically, they don't technically outright mandate shunning in every circumstance anymore, as of the 2021 edition of the Elder's Handbook or something like that. But the culture dictates it, and you will face judicial action, even if, you know, it's a judicial committee meeting with each other and discussing it and reproving you, you know, taking privileges away and stuff for talking to a disfellowship person. They do punish you for talking to a disfellowship person, whether they want to admit that or not. So, you know, I'm kind of sick of them in a sleazy way skirting around the issue like that. I mean, this relates to what the caller said. Do I wish I could go back to my old cult? I wish I had those connections. No, I don't want anything to do with the scumbags at the top that do this sleazy stuff. Well, let me give you an idea of my retort to Jehovah's Witnesses' sleazy method of kind of skating around the issue of shunning. Question number 98. Why isn't it a disfellowshipping offense for a parent to abandon their children? The Catholic Church controlled entire towns centuries ago. If a member of the town broke a Catholic rule, they wouldn't be able to rent a room anymore. They couldn't buy food or hang out with their friends. The hope is that they'd wander into the woods and die. Excommunication or disfellowshipping is effectively marking a person as dead in the eyes of the shunners. That is the punishment for being gay. That's the punishment for being critical of the religion or having a girlfriend or smoking a cigarette. It's the punishment for a nearly endless list of supposed sins. When I was disfellowshipped in 11th grade, I was kicked out of my home by my mother. I had to drop out of high school. Jehovah's Witnesses seemed to think my mother made the right decision. Not only was she not punished, but status and respect within the congregation seemed to rise when she kicked me out of the house in 11th grade. Why is abandoning a child not viewed negatively? Why isn't it a disfellowshipping offense? Forget Jehovah's Witnesses' false claims that they don't shun. Why don't they ban shunning? If they're so desperate to convince the outside world that it isn't a part of their core doctrine, why not guarantee that it doesn't happen by creating a mandate against it? Question number 99. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses have wrath in their heart rather than love? You know, let me hit 97 first. There's one right before this. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses hate gay people? They have nearly successfully convinced everybody that they don't hate gay people. They love everybody. They love gay people. They just want them to try to live up to God's standards. That's all. We all fall short. They hate gay people. And I'm completely sick of hearing Jehovah's Witnesses say that they don't. Question number 97. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses hate gay people? Jehovah's Witnesses would deny this charge. We don't hate gay people, they'd say. We love everybody. We just want them to meet God's moral expectations. We'll talk about God's moral expectations in a moment, but I claim Jehovah's Witnesses do hate gay people. Take a look at this quote from a 1995 Awake. Quote, "A youth who desires to please God must therefore conform to his moral standards and shun immoral behavior, though doing so may be agonizingly difficult. True, some individuals are very well prone to individuals may very well be prone to homosexuality, just as some individuals are, according to the Bible, prone to wrath. But the Bible still condemns displays of unrighteous anger. Similarly, a Christian cannot excuse immoral behavior by saying he was born that way. Child molesters invoke the same pathetic excuse when they say their craving for children is innate. But can anyone deny that their sexual appetite is perverted? So is the desire for someone of the same sex. Jehovah's Witnesses, why do I have these feelings? Awake, February 8th, 1995, page 16. Jehovah's Witnesses view gay people the same way they view child molesters. They view them as morally depraved, dangerous to everybody around them, and believe that their sexual appetite is perverted. Gay people wouldn't exist in a government set up and controlled by Jehovah's Witnesses. If that's not hate, I don't know what is. They can claim that they don't hate them all they want, but it's a hard conclusion to avoid. Now I've drawn a picture for you of what Jehovah's Witnesses look like when they hate somebody. Now let me draw a picture for you of what it looks like when somebody loves somebody else. Jehovah's Witnesses claim to love gay people, just don't like what they're doing, want to live up to their standards, right? Let me draw a picture of real, honest-to-God love for you. Question number 99. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses have wrath in their heart rather than love? The last conversation I ever had with my mother ended with her telling me that I was repulsive to her because I'm critical of the Watchtower Society. After being kicked out of my house in 11th grade, I was taken in by a Methodist woman named Sue. She was the great-grandmother of my daughter. Sue knew I believed in Jehovah's Witnesses doctrine, but she loved me anyway. When I realized that Jehovah's Witnesses were wrong and walked away from the whole thing, Sue still loved me. When I became addicted to heroin to cope with the loss of everything I ever knew, Sue let me live with her. When I was too destitute to buy Christmas presents for my own wife and daughter, Sue bought presents for them addressed from me. Sue has never called me repulsive. No matter how low I got, Sue was still with me through it. Even after divorcing her granddaughter, she allowed me to live with her and loved me as if I were her own son. She was the perfect embodiment of the qualities Jesus expected from his followers. She took care of the poor and loved everybody, no matter what. Sue was my real mother for all intents and purposes. Sue died on September 21st, 2022. She had nothing but love in her heart. Every Jehovah's Witness I've ever known has disowned me and looked at me with disgust. They even call me repulsive, the same way they call child molesters repulsive or pitiful or perverted. They persecute me. They do not follow Jesus' example. Sue did. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses have hate and wrath in their hearts instead of love, as Jesus commanded? Why do they pretend to love everybody while being selective about the love that they show? Why do they believe God will save them when they are the embodiment of the goats described in Jesus' sheep and goats parable at Matthew 25:31-46? Jehovah's Witnesses hate gay people. They hate ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, disfellowshipped people, apostates, anybody that's critical of the religion to any degree. They hate them. I don't care what language they want to use. I don't care if they claim they shun or not. I don't care if they remove shunning from their little book of shunning offenses. I don't care. They have wrath and hate in their hearts, and they don't understand what love is. They are incapable of it until they experience it themselves. They mandate hate and wrath. So, no more BS from Jehovah's Witnesses. No more, we love everybody. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, that's the end. I really wanted to drive home the juxtaposition between hate and love that Jehovah's Witnesses love to play off of all the time. So hopefully I accomplished that. That is not the end. There's like a lot more to it, but I don't want to get into it. You guys are going to have to buy it if you want to know the end.